Hey there everyone, Coach Ryan Knapp from PRS Fit, and today I'm going to tackle a question I get a lot from my newer athletes, and it's about cadence or stride rate. And specifically when we talk about stride rate, we're talking about the amount of foot strikes per minute. So every time your left foot and your right foot hits, that's 1, 2, and that is measured over the course of a minute. Now, in order to talk about stride length, we have to talk about a couple other facets of running as well, and then we see how they intertwine. So stride rate and stride length are directly related to one another. And we get a lot of questions too about stride length, about people saying, well, I need to lengthen my stride in order to go faster. And that's not necessarily the case. So I want to take a look at both of those and talk about them. So let's talk about stride rate first. So stride rate, if you count left, right steps per minute or strikes per minute for a normal recreational runner, you're generally going to end up around 155, 160. Okay? Elite athletes optimally strike the ground around 180 times per minute. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're around 180 or higher. Now, Jack Daniels was one of the first to say 180 strikes per minute is it. And that sparked a lot of, let's get 180 beats per minute songs and let's all talk about 180, 180. But if you actually look at elites, some strike a little bit less, 176, 177, and then some striking, especially at the end of races, over 200 strikes per minute. And that's, it's 180 is optimal, but it changes on the higher end in terms of elites, and that's okay. And a lot of athletes will use that as the kick at the end of the race. They're basically using what they don't have, and so they're what they haven't used yet, and so they're speeding their feet up to be able to recruit muscles they haven't used, and just trying to get that last 400 meters out, say in a 5K. Now, why is making that change important? Why is increasing 20 or 25 steps per minute, strikes per minute important? Well, it's important it helps to reduce injury. And it helps reduce injury in sort of the same way it helps for speed. So it deals with hang time for time in the air and deals with overextension. So overextension or overstriding, if this is your leg, right, and this is your foot, and you're overstriding, you're landing with your heel first, all right, you're basically breaking the momentum of you going forward because we want to go forward. If you're striking with your heel first, that's stopping your momentum, all right? What happens, and that's also usually a cause because your hang times are too long in the air. So after you take that toe off, right, after your foot toes off, this is your leg, this is your foot, and you toe off when you drive forward, you're sort of gliding in the air. And we don't want to glide because when we're gliding, we're just coasting. We're not generating any energy. We're just riding on that toe off from our last strike. Now what we want to do is be able to speed that up. Because basically every time we toe off or we push off, we generate energy. Now, if we can toe off more and generate more energy, about 180 strikes per minute, we're going to go faster, or it's going to help us go faster based on stride rate plus stride length equals speed or velocity. So going back to the injury part, if we're overextending or overstriding, we're landing on our heel, we're sending all that shock up our legs and all those things we talk about when we talk about heel striking. If you simply speed up your cadence, and those who want to get out of heel striking, if you speed up your cadence, all of a sudden your foot has to be underneath you quicker because you're speeding up your feet quicker and you don't have that luxury to be out there as long. So now you're landing with your feet a little bit more underneath your center of mass in terms of your leg and your foot, and you're not landing with it out in front of you like that. So it can be sort of a simple, quick way to stop overstriding or to work on overstriding is to speed it up. So we're eliminating the hang time, we're eliminating that time in the air that we're coasting. We're pushing off more, we're giving ourselves 20 to 25 more opportunities to push off and generate energy. And that's variable, like I said. So there's a Texas Tech study that they studied athletes basically going from cross-country runners going from a wide variety of paces. And they found at slower paces, their cadence dropped even at an elite runner to 176, 177. But when they ratcheted up the pace and they were going at, say, a 4 or 4.5 minute mile, they were then using 196, 197 strikes per minute. And that's important. So this 180 number that we talk about is where we want to be ideally, but you can also take it up a notch higher, but we don't want to go a lot lower because we're losing all of these benefits by turning our feet over faster. Now, how does that deal with stride length, or where is the correlation? So stride length is just really, it's just the distance between foot strikes. So you strike with your left, you strike with your right, that distance between them is just your stride length. Now, that's variable based on speed. So if we have someone that strikes at 180 strikes per minute, and we have them run their marathon pace, all right, let's say it's a 9-minute mile, right? They're gonna strike left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. But that will always be at 180 strikes per minute. So the fact of them going left, right, left, right, left, right is always the same beat. It's always the same beat, all right? Just like in music, it's always the same, always the same. Now, if they're running, say, 5K pace, their stride length increases because they are running, because they want to run faster. And so we're just going to be leaning forward and generating more energy with our push off and with our toe off. And we're still going to be running on that beat, but we're going to have a longer stride length and cover more ground just because we're running faster. And that's the variability. We always want to keep 180 or higher, in our cadence, or around 180. But we don't want to have to worry about overstriding, because once we start running faster, once we want to go faster for, say, a 5K or a mile, our stride length will just increase. And you can actually look at this if you run on the beach, or even if you run in snow. If it gets snowy where you are, or you have a beach, go out and just run like marathon pace, like 9-minute mile, and just run for 100 yards. Then stop, and then run back the other way at a 5K pace, and just see how much longer the strides are for 5K pace. Now, if you do that with 180 steps per minute, or at that frequency, the stride length isn't changing because you are making it change. The stride length is changing because you're just going faster, but you're at that constant 180, 180, 180. And that's what you want to be. We want to imprint our brain to be able to do that. And so if you take the stride length, or stride rate, which is around 180, and you just add in that stride length, which is just the distance, right? Then basically you're just getting velocity, or you're getting speed, and you're getting how fast you're going. So if you're striking at the same rate, or you're able to increase that up to 180, and then you're increasing the distance that you're striking, you will go faster. That's what speed is. Now, if you're at 160, all right, and you still have the same stride length, then you're going to go slower, because 160 plus whatever your distance is just slower. So that's sort of a simple way to look at it. Now, a lot of people are going to ask how they can increase their stride rate, or how do you work on that? An easy way to do it is to work on strides. So I have a video for strides, but they're basically 100 meters roughly. You go out, you run the first 20 meters, sort of getting up to speed, and then you run the last 80 meters at a 5K pace. Now, when you're doing strides, you can easily get a tempo trainer or a metronome. And I have my tempo trainer that I use for swimming. So basically, if you set your tempo trainer at 0.66 intervals, or 90 if you have a metronome, it'll sound like this. And you can carry it, or carry it on you, and that's how you want to hit your feet. So it's left, right, left, right, left, right. And that's what you want to do. You can carry this with you and do something like strides, or go out and run on the track and carry that metronome with you. And you can also use a foot pod by Garmin, which helps you measure it. But this is one of the greatest things. And then eventually, you can ratchet it up. So if you go out, you say you're at 160, set it for 66, or set it for 180 strikes per minute, and go out and run and just turn your feet over, turn your feet over. And again, it's going to feel a little bit awkward probably at the beginning, but if you do that, you're going to be running at the most optimal cadence, or around the most optimal cadence that you can, and that's just going to help you to become faster. And again, this is one of the things, like, some people say, well, I'm not going to change it because it doesn't really matter. But if you look at elites and they do something which is attainable by all of us, which is run faster. We want to run faster. We can speed our feet up, and that makes us go faster. Then it's a simple change to make in terms of, yeah, I'm just going to do it and I'm going to work on it. So get a tempo trainer or metronome. You can get them on apps sometimes. Go out, practice some strides, and work on increasing your stride rate. Because if you increase your stride rate, your stride length stays the same, or your stride length is just the distance, you're going to increase your speed. So I know it's a little bit complicated of a topic, but I wanted to talk about it today. If you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with me, Ryan@prsfit.com. And as we always say, be healthy, train smart, and have fun.